everybody, this is Diana aka Pop Culture Diva 42, and this was going to be a video response to Geek Evolution, who recently got a question from one of their users. I think it was Crazy Charlie Emma or something like that, who asked, how do you properly defend the comic book medium from people who claim that it is childish without always resorting to giving Watchmen as a positive example. Now, while I do feel that Captain Logan and Vince brought up some very good points, I also want to do kind of a quick step-by-step plan of how I would defend the comic book medium from people saying that it's childish, that it's immature, that it's not worth my time, blah 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 blah. Let me put my smarty pants hat on, and I wish I actually had a hat. Wait a second. I don't look particularly smart in this. First of all, I would say that there must be a separation between comic books as a medium and the stories that are actually contained in the comic books. A medium is beyond reproach. It is neutral from all points of view in the sense that there's a difference between the way that information is transmitted and the quality of the information itself. So when you talk about a medium, the things that you talk about are, how many people work on it, how many resources does it use, how many people does it affect, how many people are exposed to it, how is the information transceived, and things of that nature. There's nothing inherently childish about comics or any other medium for that matter. Now, if they don't see the fallacy of criticizing comic books as a medium, you can also put it this way, comic books are essentially sequential art, which is the alignment of images in order to tell a particular story, and that is pretty much the oldest form of expression known to man. Would you call the cave paintings in Lascaux childish? Would you call Egyptian hieroglyphs childish? Would you call the Sistine Chapel childish? Because all those pretty images, like arranged in a certain way on the ceiling in the Sistine Chapel, they tell a story. You heard about graphic novels? Well, right there you have a graphic ceiling. I think a lot of people today underestimate comic books because they live in the hyper-visual age, if I can call it that, in the sense that everything is recorded, everything is uploaded, everything is downloaded, and there's a very big emphasis placed on video and on film. And you have comic books which are essentially hand-drawn, most of all, or digitally drawn or whatever, but they're still drawings, and people have an issue with that because they feel maybe that it doesn't deliver as much information as a movie, or it's not as immersive an experience as watching a movie, the idea of reading a comic book and looking at images and reading. But here's the thing, I think, and I'm no expert, but I think it's a lot more stimulating for the brain to consume comic books as opposed to movies and or television shows. Movies and television shows are more immersive, and I will give them that. They deliver a lot more information than a comic book, for instance, but they deliver sensory information. But narratively speaking, I know a lot of comic books that have a much more complex narrative than movies. Yes, movies and television shows are more immersive, but at the same time, it's a very passive mode of consumption, whereas with comic books you have to read, you have to look at the images, you have to fill in the blanks. What I'm trying to say is that when you watch a movie or a television show, you can shut off your brain and watch it. You can't really do that when you read comic books. So really, which is the more childish medium? If after all this people still knock comic books, but this time referring to superhero comic books, because they are at the forefront of this comic book industry because they sell more and Hollywood likes to make movies from them now. If people ever knock superhero comics, and this works especially well for Americans, not so well from people from other countries, but in the Second World War, American soldiers read comic books. They read Captain America, they read Superman. And I dare anybody who is of the opinion that superhero comic books are childish to go up to a war veteran that read some of these comics, that was inspired by them, that actually maybe probably gave him the idea, him or her, him, actually, in the Second World War. They gave him the idea to go off and fight for their country. I dare anybody to walk up to that person, to that war veteran, and to tell him, you know, basically, you risked your life because you read some kind of silly kid story. And if they persist in their ignorance and saying that comic books are just for kids, then I suggest you show them this lovely collection of comic books called The Leather Nun and Other Incredibly Strange Comics. Actually, this is kind of like an anthology, just giving you titles and basic descriptions of the storylines. So yeah, here's a good bedtime story for your kids. Tales from the Leather Nun. Once upon a time, there was this rogue monastery in the Himalayas where the Leather Nun and her minions unlocked the secrets of the Vatican's last scroll, a pagan shaman's forbidden key to negative inner space. They used this to dispatch a captured meek and mild agent of the Pope on a demonic form of basic training. Stripped naked, his first tour of duty is an orgy in which the priapic Monsignor climaxes on stage with the nun herself. In another tale, the nun takes a break from punishing the devout by mounting a life-size crucifix, which she can turn on at the flip of a switch. She excuses her outrageous conduct by explaining, "It's okay, we're married." Good night, kids. So that's basically all I had to say. I don't think I really was ranting. I hope I made some good points. This is how I would defend comic books, really. Like, there's no point in, like Captain Logan and Vince said, you know, there's no point in arguing with people that are closed-minded. But, you know, I feel like if you go on a step-by-step where you show them that, you know, the medium has been around since forever, so there's no point in bashing the medium, and superhero comics have had such an impact on American culture that you can't call them childish since, you know, like I said, they were on and the government used them for propaganda and stuff like that, and I don't think the government would use superhero comics for propaganda unless they really believe that they do have the capacity to inspire adults, not just kids, and stuff like that. You know, there are arguments that you can make, just like Captain Logan and Vince found their arguments to make. These were just mine, and yeah, I really wish I had the Smarty Pants hat.